Hi everybody, thanks for watching this video again. This is another video in the series about the chord harmonica, and in this video I'm going to introduce you to diminished and augmented chords, which is something I've promised you before in one of my previous videos, and I'm going to get to this subject. Diminished and augmented chords is quite a complicated subject on the chord harmonica. It really is. First of all, you look at the chord harmonica, and when you buy this chord harmonica, it tells you you can play all the major chords on the top body, blow. All the seventh chords you can draw on the top body, and all the major chords you can blow on the bottom body harmonica. So far that actually makes sense, because you think, okay, I've got 12 chord sections here, I can play all 12 major chords, all 12 seventh chords and all 12 minor chords. But then it gets confusing, because it also tells you you can play all the diminished and augmented chords as draw chords on the bottom body. Hang on a minute, how does that work? You can understand all the major chords are at the top, yeah, because you've got all your 12 sections, all your 12 chords there, with all the notes in a chromatic scale from C to B, and etc., anywhere in between. So you've got all the 12 notes, all the 12 chords, all the seventh chords, all the minor chords. Fair enough, that makes sense. But now it starts to get confusing. How can you, on 12 chords, play all the diminished and augmented chords? How does that work? And this is where a chord harmonica gets a bit confusing. To understand this, we first of all need to look at what is a diminished chord. Let's start with a diminished chord. And there's a page specially dedicated, it's page 2 in my document, specially dedicated to how these chords actually work. Now, and this is the trick. Let's start with a diminished chord. A diminished chord consists of 3 notes, and all the intervals are minor thirds. There is, on the chromatic harmonica standard, there is only one standard diminished chord available, and that's B diminished, because you play a B, a D and an F. Obviously without using your slider, that's what I mean. So B, D, F, that is a diminished chord. Listen to those 3 notes. That's a diminished chord, a B diminished chord. Now, most chords, 7th chords, even 6th chords, minor, major chords, etc., get a particular character. It sounds like a certain type of chord only because there is a variance in the intervals between the notes. A major chord root note, major third up, and a minor third on top of that. And that makes a major chord. Gets a bit more difficult to demonstrate on a chromatic harmonica what a minor chord is. A minor chord is basically root note, minor third, and then a major third. root note, minor third, major third, and then you get a minor chord. So a chord gets its character from a particular mix of intervals, a mix of major and minor intervals, or maybe even 6 intervals or anything like that. Anyone who knows the chord theory will know this a lot better than I do. The problem, or the beauty, whichever you want to see it, of a diminished chord is that the intervals are all the same. So a diminished chord only consists of minor thirds intervals. All the intervals are minor thirds only. A diminished chord, minor thirds intervals only. So, and that means that theoretically, and again my document also explains how that works, there are only ever 3 diminished chords possible. There are no more diminished chords anywhere in the Western music chromatic scale. There are not. And again, in page 2 of my document, I'm explaining exactly how that is. So basically, a C diminished, you look at the notes that you play in that chord, obviously with minor third intervals only, and you do that for every chromatic note. And then, strangely enough, at the 4th note, you will see that you're using the same notes as you do in the first one. In the 5th one, you're using exactly the same notes as in the 2nd one, only in a different order. So, and this is where we get to what's called inversions. An inversion is the same chord, only the notes are played in a different order. C major is a standard example on a chromatic harmonica. You can play 3 draw notes in adjacent holes on the chromatic harmonica, and it will always be a C major chord. Why? Because you're playing the same chord, you play the same notes, only the notes are in a different order, but it's still the same chord. And that is called inversions. So, now that we know how diminished chords work, we know that there are only 3 possible diminished chords. There are no more. And then the next thing, and this is the big trick, the chord harmonica, the diminished and the augmented chords are all spread across the bottom of the bottom body as draw chords. And how does that work? So basically, number 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, so all the odd numbers are augmented chords, and the ones in between, the even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, they are all the diminished chords on the draw chords. So the bottom body is actually a mixture of all the diminished and augmented chords mixed up between each other. And that makes it also quite difficult to actually find them and to know where they are. So it actually takes quite a bit of practice to find that out. So again, diminished chords, there are only 3 diminished chords possible, which means that you get on the chord harmonica, you get 6 different diminished chords, which means for each, listen how this, you need to see this as, in this way, for every diminished chord, and there are only 3 diminished chords possible, you get 2 different options on the chord harmonica. So for every diminished chord you have two different options on your chord harmonica. You can play one of them. And this explains also something that is in the schedule. Am I holding this right? No, I'm not, sorry. This schedule that tells you where all your chords are, your chord charts as it's called. Now, and this is the little trick about this one. The diminished chords that contain the same notes have got the same color. So if you print this chart off in color on a color printer, you will see by the color in the chart that these two diminished chords are the same. And also, so the colors are the same. So the green and that, and the ones in between, obviously they're different colors because they are augmented chords. But the diminished chords are all on the even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so that's all the diminished chords. But not only that, you can also see, because let's have a look at number 6, which is the A diminished, E flat diminished, G flat diminished, or the C diminished chords. So if you're looking for a diminished chords, look in your chart and you can find every note in there. Hang on a minute, I need a B diminished chord. And you look at the chords that are stamped on the cover plates on your chord harmonica and you think, hang on, there is no B diminished chord. There isn't. So you need an inversion. And to find that, you will find that there are actually two chords, because this is the first 6, so 1 to 6, 7 to 12. So this is actually cut it open and it's actually the whole 48 chord harmonica. So number 2 and number 8 are both the same. You can see it's the same color, so it's the same diminished chord. Only, of course, the notes are in a different order, but you can see that it uses the same notes. And here you will see on the chart that this is your B diminished chord. B, there is a B as well. So wherever there's a B, that's your B diminished chord. Okay. Now, that's the easy bit. That's diminished chords. Try to get your head around those. I don't know what to do now, whether to play something or whether to go on to the augmented chords, because augmented chords is actually a lot more difficult. If you study the augmented chords, so instead of minor thirds intervals only, the augmented chords actually have major third intervals only. That's the difference. An augmented chord, da-da, da-dee, only consists of major third intervals, so 2 whole notes, or 4 semitones if you prefer to call it that. So the intervals between the notes are major thirds only, and that makes it a bit more complicated. First of all, if you apply the same kind of theory about that we just heard about why there are only three diminished chords possible, you apply the same theory to the augmented chords, And that's where you find, just by going through all the notes and just putting all the major third intervals on it and etc. Just do it the same way and you'll find that there are 4 possible augmented chords. Not just 3, but 4. Now, the chord harmonica offers you a choice of 6 augmented chords, because like I said, it's a bar of 12 chords, half of them are diminished, half of them are augmented. So you get